What am I doing consistently and persistently to attract private money? So it is with intention. What is your plan? What actions, actionable activities are you doing consistently and persistently? The list is long to choose from as to what you can be doing to attract, the private money, but it's got to be consistent and persistent.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Connor.
We got Mark, who says, how do you handle multiple lenders on one project? Do you file one mortgage/deed of trust or one for each private lender? Is there a limit to how many private lenders can be on one project? How do you avoid registering it with the SEC when you have multiple private lenders on the one note? Whew! It's a lot in one question, Mark. I love it. It's a great question.
I think there was like 10 questions in that.
I think it was. The simple answer, Mark, is as Jay would say, these are single family houses. You're doing one-offs. So you're going to do a single note for each lender. So you are not creating my brain just left me.
Syndication.
Thank you. The word was gone all of a sudden. But you're not creating a syndication. You're not putting any of these or pooling these funds. You're putting them all on separate notes. So how do you handle that? You put them in order, and they are identified as being in a certain order. So you have to say they're in first position, second position, third position. How many can have? As many as you want. I wouldn't recommend having 1 million because you do have to pay for each of those positions. You have to pay to have the documentation done. You are going to have to pay interest on that. At some point, it doesn't make sense. So the numbers have to walk you through what you're going to put in there, but there's not a limit. And you don't have to file it with the SEC because it's a one-off. It's a note, promissory note, deed, trust, or mortgage on a piece of property, real property, for each person, each lender. Anything you want to add to that, Chaffee?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's key too, is that while there is no limit to the number that you put on, you should keep in mind that, for example, if you're paying your attorney $500 for each person, right, for paperwork, which, initially it might be more, but if you work with your attorney for a while, it might be, less. But let's just say $500 for their work, and you have, you need $100,000 and you get $10,000 from 10 people, that adds up, right? 10 times 500, that's $5,000. So if you can find one or two people with, 100,000 or 50,000 each, that's going to do much better for you mentally as well, because you have to track all 10 people as well as pay interest and all that. So all that fun stuff. So, just keep it. I know Jay has, for bigger projects, done 3, 4, and sometimes 5 on a rare occasion, but usually it's 1 or 2 and sometimes 3 is where you want to keep that at. So, and since you're not pooling funds and you are collateralizing the funds, then you are under the SEC radar, which means that they are not looking at you, right? If you're doing a syndication and not collateralizing, or you're doing some kind of raising money and not collateralizing those funds, then the SEC will get on your case. So be careful about that. So,
grassroots question. If I have not done any deals, what can I say to a potential private money lender to convince them to invest with me?
that is always a great question.
Convince is a terrible word. We're not convincing anybody. We're not chasing. We're not begging. We're not trying to get anyone to do anything. We are just teaching and serving. So if you learn nothing else today, please walk away with that message. It will serve you as you're trying to serve others. Don't ever be trying to convince anyone of anything. Go ahead, Chaffee.
Well, here's the quick answer. And the quick answer is that when you have a system such as Jay's put together, And the way that we deliver that system and share that system to individuals and teach them and educate them about private money, as Crystal said, there's no convincing, right? It's just this is how the process works. This is how the system works. Here's all the protections in place for you and for your money. And here's how we operate. And so the system and the process that Jay's put together does all the talking and educating, and they come to their own conclusion of what to invest with you and when and how much. And so again, there's no it doesn't really matter if you've done deals or haven't done deals. We have worked with Jay and the team have worked with people that are brand new, never even started real estate investing, to people that have done over 200 deals and come into the Jay Connor world investing. And so now I will also add to that that once you do start working with us on one of the mentorship programs, you always have a huge team of people, Crystal, Jay, myself, and all the mastermind members and Platinum Plus members to lean upon as your partners. And to be able to get Jay on the phone as your partner and have him talk to your potential private lender or potential seller is huge. And so, there's always that option as well as lean on somebody else's credibility and use their experience if you don't have your own. And again, the quick answer is when you're using a system that has all the protections in place, that's what people are looking for to feel safe and secure in order to invest with you.
Oh, yeah. So the other piece of the question was, how can one make money using banks' money?
Well, that's kind of a wide, open question that can be answered in multiple different ways.
Yeah. I mean, I think the easiest way to answer it is it's kind of like anything else you evaluate. It has to make sense for what's the interest rate look like, what are your payments, what's your carrying costs, what's the time of the length of the note, can you get the project? There's figuring all the variables, and then that's how you make money. You have to make sure that you clear more, substantially more than what it is. So plug in all the data like Jay teaches and compare that when you're borrowing the money from a bank versus, if you were to do stuff from a private lender. So there is money that can be made using a bank, by the way. It's not impossible. It is very different, though. The timeline's different. The amount of things you have to qualify for are very different. It's a very different experience, but you can make it work. It just wouldn't be the primary teaching because it's not the easiest way to get things done. And obviously, you're then not helping your potential private lenders because you're not investing their funds, and so you're not able to serve as many people.
Here's a great way though, and just we teach this all the time, is that if you find somebody that has grade A credit or has a house and they're able to get what we call a HELOC or a home equity line of credit on their property at a very low interest rate, and they are willing to lend that to you as a private lender. So let's say they get a HELOC for 5% on their property, and they could borrow $100,000 on their property and lend that $100,000 to you at 8%. They're going to make a 3% spread for using bank money, right? And so there's a simple way of doing it is arbitrage, right? You're using banks' money to make money, and it doesn't cost you a dime because most HELOCs don't cost you anything. So the bottom line is that if you can make more money than it costs to borrow money, then you can, make money from the bank, right? And you just have to be careful of making sure you pay all that money back. So whatever you do, in a timely manner or time that it's due. Crystal, do we have another one, I think?
Kathy, can I just chime in on that one
Sure.
before you move on? It's like my response would be, why? Why would you do that? And I think people get they get an idea in their head, and then they feel like they want to do it that way. But we have a proven system, and it frees you from going into a bank one day and having the guy that you talk to all the time say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're not giving you money for your deal," which happened to Jay, a while back, and which changed the whole direction of his business and made it far more successful, right? So I would really question, why are you concerned about, what? There must be some reason, and you need to deal with that, because otherwise you're going to keep going back to it. But it's a loop that is not really going to bring you the success that you want. You know, having a a small group of private lenders that you can pull money from quickly to do deals is the secret, right? Particularly when the markets get poorer because everybody gets more desperate, and those that have money, you know, anyway, it just struck me as like the wrong question to ask. And a lot of people who teach success tell you, you know, you need to ask the right questions. So I just wanted to throw that out.
So the question is, what challenges are you having with raising private money? And somebody posted, Bill posted, I set up a trust account with a company. Okay. And having trouble finding investors.
Let me give this comment first, Chavi. Um, I want to make this clear for everyone. You don't set up a trust fund to borrow private money. Now, now you can have, you can have a land trust on each individual property. My entity structuring is using an LLC for my buy and hold properties, and then an LLC for my flips. But there's a disconnect in my mind about setting up a trust fund and then can't find private lenders that's like apples and oranges. Having a trust fund's got nothing to do with attracting, private money from private lenders. So I just want to get it clear for everybody. Don't worry about having some kind of trust fund set up, because that's got nothing to do whatsoever with attracting private money. Now, when it comes to having trouble finding private lenders, well, the list or the answer to that could be a long list as to why they're having trouble finding private lenders. So without them there, if they were here, I would need to ask some clarifying questions. The biggest one is, well, what have you done to attract private lenders?
That was a key, a couple of things. First of all, like you said, setting up a trust has nothing to do with raising private money. That's why I skipped over it, because it has nothing to do with anything. So, but secondly, the key that you said, Jay, which was, what have you done to attract private lenders, versus the question, which is, I can't find any private lenders, right? And there's a big difference there of attracting people versus finding people. But regardless of that, diving into what are some challenges in finding or searching or attracting private lenders. Does anybody here else on the call have that challenge? Like you have tons and tons of people you can talk to, so this is not an issue. Jeff, you have that challenge, right? Um, you want to unmute and go back to what Jay just share with the group again, what you've done so far to talk to private lenders?
Yes, absolutely. Through the recommendations of the team here, I've gone out and I have started sending individual emails or mails out to known private lenders to be able to introduce myself. I have taken a more assertive approach with others that I come in contact with to be able to introduce myself as someone who can educate them on how that they would be able to get better returns on their investments than where they're at today, unless they're doing extremely well. And just making myself more available to try and serve others and give them my life experience as to what I've experienced as being a personal private lender, so that that can help encourage them.
Good. And where have you gone to talk to people?
Mainly at church. I've also got investment groups that I am a part of, and I go to meetups, and I've also got a Christian organization that I've got an appointment with that we're going to have a meeting in the next month or so, and I'll be doing it there as well.
Awesome. So you've gotten the word out, and you're starting to spread the word out then.
Yes, sir. Thick as I can.
Good. And so, where else might you be able to find more people to talk to?
Well, I'm assuming that in the near future, I'll be looking at joining the Business Network International groups in my local area, perhaps experiencing or expanding into the Rotary Club, other civic organizations, to where I might be able to plug in and find a place that I can serve and see what I can do to help them.
Awesome. So I guess that's the answer right there for a lot of people. If you haven't done half of what Jeff has done, do what Jeff is doing first, right? So great job getting out there, Jeff.
Thank
And
you, sir.
secondly, getting out there more is key, and sharing that information more is critical as well. So many, many different ways of getting the word out there. Crystal, anything you want to add to that?
No, I just want to I want to encourage others. So if there's anybody else that's been looking and you feel like you're out there searching and not finding, and as we say, you should be attracting, sharing, and serving. But if you haven't, then what would be your challenge, or what have you done already? If you would be willing to share. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Jeff, because Jeff did indeed very much take our instruction, and he took advantage of an opportunity to have a conversation and didn't lean on other things or ways to get out of the conversation. He went straight into who he was, who he serves, and what it meant to him, and created a different kind of connection than previously was there. So super important, and that's what happens, and that's the magic, because it sounds like a kind of magical connection now. It's more opportunity that wasn't previously there. And that's the magic that happens when you start introducing yourself as the expert in this space, as the educator, and are there to serve. So I just wanted to give a shout out, Jeff, based on what you had shared. That to me, that was really important, and you've taken some great strides.
Awesome.
Thank you, Crystal.
Let me just add, while we're on this topic, Crystal, at the live event and, in the mentorship and everything, we talk a lot about networking. We talk a lot about getting out there and talking with people, meeting people. And the real purpose of networking isn't just to go out and pass a bunch of business cards or brochures or, just say, hey, what's up? And, and have a good time, right? It's to build relationships. It's really to get to know people and provide value and see how you can help them. And so one thing, taking this a step further, Jeff, I don't know if you've done this, and this is for everybody there as well, is scheduling time to meet with certain key influencers in your community, in your network, right? So, what brings it up is Lisa talks about, she has a CPA. So, Jeff, have you scheduled time with your CPA and say, hey, can I talk to you about what I do and get more about what you do so that we can refer more people to each other, right? Scheduling time, having a cup of coffee with an attorney, or getting to know some of the key influencers in the local government, right? And saying, hey, this, I'd love to get to know more about what you do, so maybe that we can, refer business. And so, the power and the strength of getting to know people so that you could refer people and being a connector in the community is where you start getting referrals. And as Jay says, start attracting people, right? Because now these key influencers will start talking about you when they're out networking as well. And so I've had that happen with me many a times where I will get people coming up to me randomly that I've never met and say, oh, I heard about you from so-and-so, or I heard about you at this event or whatever. And they'll just introduce them to me because they heard about me from other people. And so that's the level, that's the point where you want to get. And you get there by, again, building those relationships with some of the key influencers in the community. So.
Yeah, let me share 2 key words for Jeff and everybody. And here's the question to write down. What am I doing consistently and persistently to attract private money? So it is with intention. What is your plan? What actions, actionable activities are you doing consistently and persistently? The list is long to choose from as to what you can be doing to attract, the private money. But it's got to be consistent and persistent.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with